Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Apologies for being away for a bit, but I've had some personal issues. I'm back in the woods now, bit of a chilled out day, not a lot of plans today. First thing I'm going to do is light the fire, and I got a new gadget. I got an Exotac Titan light, and my lady wife bought me this as a Christmas present. I've been after one for about 2 years, but seeing as I don't light fires with a lighter that often, I didn't really want to spend £47 on a petrol lighter, of which I've got 2 Zippos and another petrol lighter at home. But I dropped the hint and she got it for me. Now, one thing I did do with this lighter was overfill it, and that is a common mistake. So when I light this, it may go all over my hands. We'll see. Well, I'm going to light the fire now, and I'm going to light a twig fire. It's been reasonably dry and cold here for at least a fortnight. We've had a bit of rain, not much. As you can probably see, I'm dressed for the cold. The forecast was -4 celsius this morning. It's actually +1, so I'm not particularly cold. In fact, I'm a bit too warm. I'll probably take my outer layer off now. Right, so I'm going to go off now, get some twigs. My Chinese pot, I've adjusted the bail handle so it hangs a bit better. Fire's lit, and it did take a while to get that flame up, so let's face it, a feather stick is well worth carving in these situations. If I had just got the lighter, lit the feather stick, stuck it in, it would have lit a lot better. But the lighter was fine, and obviously it didn't leak. I didn't get it all over my hands. Now, one thing I do find when I light a fire that way, because I didn't put anything in the bottom, just a few little twigs, I've got to keep adding quite a bit more often to build up bed of coals. Now, if you're regular, you know I'll usually put some split wood or at least some decent rounds down first and then light on top of it. But because I wanted to get in with the lighter, I didn't want to build it too high because it would all fall down. There we are. It's cold, it's damp. Even if it hasn't rained for a bit, it's still cold and damp. Although saying that, I'm now absolutely boiling after lighting our fire, wearing this thing and a heavy, what's it called, merino wool base layer. So I'm now pretty warm. Well, I'm going to have my cup of tea now. Before I have my cup of tea, I'm going to show you a new knife. This isn't a bought one, made it myself. It's one of my FTPs, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen that I just sold my second FTP I've been using for the last year. Well, I made a new one. It's a bit prettier, and this is RWL34 with a stainless butt plate, and it's a mix of antler, G10 liners and stabilised curly birch, which I had 2 little pieces of. So if you're wondering why the antler piece is bigger than the curly birch, that's why. And that was a nub of antler I've had for ages, and it took me a long time to cut it into squares, believe me. I'm going to make a few feather sticks with that later. Pleased with that, feels nice. And I didn't go for a neck sheath this time, I went for a multi-purpose sheath. Basically a standard double wet formed hard sheath. Fits nice. And on the back I've got a dangler, and I can remove that if I want to have a neck carry, but there's plenty of room there if I want to carry it anyway, and that will just fit in behind there. So I'm pleased with that. I'll have a play with that later. Having some tea now then. Adjusted the fire into a nice neat parallel fire lay. Give that 5 minutes now. It'll smoke for 5 minutes and then it'll go up nice. Now there's a friendly little robin that lives up here. You've probably seen him on my videos before. And I always leave some dried mealworms for him. I take firewood, I leave mealworms. Today I brought this with me, my Silky Katanaboy 500. And there was 2 reasons why I brought this. First reason, because it was cold, I was going to build a Siberian fire lay. But it's not that cold. But the second reason I brought this, my pal Pete Williams commented twice on the fact that my chopping block is a soggy rubbery mess. Well, I'm going to cut the new chopping block. There's a tree over there which is just the right height, which has fallen. It's got a bit of rot on the outside, but I think it'll be okay for a new chopping block. It's in such a position where it's safe for me to cut. There's another one here, but it's hung up and it's not particularly safe, and I wouldn't like to attempt that on my own. So I'm going to go over now and I'm going to cut a nice big round for a new chopping block. First things first, I got to take this thing off because I'm boiling. Just put my windproof on. Can you hear it cracking? No, I can hear it cracking, so I may have to jump out the way. Excellent, cut one done. Well, that's the awkward bit which could have been dangerous done. I'm going to cut the other chunk off now. Done. Now I just got to carry it back. And now I've got a year full of soggy moss. Well, I think I deserve a cup of tea after that. So there you go, Pete. That's for you, pal. Well, that was pretty painless. I've had a cup of tea now, by the way, so I'm nice and calm. Put this back on. I'm absolutely boiling again. Try doing that with a buck saw. You'd have to have a hell of a depth on it. Yeah, them saws are great. That one is a little bit blunt because a couple of years ago we cut some oak up in the other camp and it blunted it a bit, but it flew through that. Yeah, so I'm pleased I got a new chopping block, and I think it would be rude now if I didn't try it out. I'm not going to cut anything big. I'm just going to split some rounds down, get some feather sticks done with my new knife, test that out. And I have put a slightly different grind on this one. I've hired it up a bit, made it a bit finer. Because it's stainless, I'll probably do cooking chores with this as well, whereas I don't tend to with a carbon blade. some feather stick wood split, and yes, there's a marked improvement splitting on something solid and not that soggy mess. Yes, a nice little note as I hit it. Ping, lovely. Well, I'm going to have a go with this knife now, make a few feather sticks. The grind on this is the same grind as on the last little 01 bush tool I made with the red handle. So not quite perfect in my opinion for feather sticks, but we'll see. Well, it works just fine, but this handle is slightly slimmer than the last one. I'm finding a bit of fatigue on it. I could do with a thicker handle. Oh well. I think it would be a bit rude not to light it. God, that spine's sharp. If there is such a thing as a spine that's too sharp, I think it's that one. It is just peeling material off my ferro rod. Less pressure next time. Well, that's it for today's video, folks. Hope it was okay. Hope you got something from it or just enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subbed, please sub. I would appreciate that as well. As for the lighter, next time I think I'll be a bit more selective with my twigs to start off. And if you want to look at the workings of it, there's plenty of other videos on there. Dave Canterbury did a good one about 2 years ago. Went pretty much in depth with it. I definitely filled it too much at home. That was a silly mistake. I should have just watched somebody else's video first before I just filled it up with fuel. But I'm pleased with the lighter. And now I'm going to have a cup of tea, shave some more sticks, and then just chill out basically. So thanks for watching. Ta-ra. Hello to the faithful who watch after the credits. Well, I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who saw my last video and read what I put on the end, that my dad had passed away. Been a really hard month. My dad was a cracking guy. I'm not just saying that, he was very well thought of. An excellent tradesman and craftsman. And basically, I wouldn't be me without my dad. I don't want to get upset, but I just thought I'd mention that. Thanks for all your comments. I really appreciated them. And it's a tough time, and if you've been through it yourself, you will know. Not a nice time at all. I actually find December now quite a depressing month, seeing as a few years ago we lost my rock god, which was Lemmy from Motorhead. That was upsetting. And then last year we lost the great Kochanski, which was even more upsetting. And this year I've lost my dad, which couldn't be more upsetting. So let's face it, December will always be ingrained in my memory as a shit month. Well, my tea's boiling, so I'm going to have another cuppa. Well, next week now I'll probably section up a tree or something and split it down on my new block. So Pete, if you're watching, it's for you. Sort of, it's more for me. But I'm pleased with the new block anyway. And the tree didn't fall on me while I was cutting it, so that's a good thing. The other tree I was looking at cutting is over a bank, and I would have tied one end off to another tree in case it fell, and it would have been a pain in the backside. But looking at it, it had too much rot on it anyway. But this one looks good, and next time I got my big saw up here, I'll cut some chunks off it for firewood. No point wasting it. Now I'm off. Ta-ra. Nothing wrong with it. I'm going to scrap this because it's shit. And now I've got a year full of soggy moss.